My family made me sleep in the garage over Christmas to make room for my cousin. You should be thankful we let you stay, my mom snapped. I left silently that night. Now my inbox is overflowing with desperate messages. 28M, never thought I'd be writing this, but I need to get this off my chest. What happened over Christmas has completely changed my relationship with my family, and honestly, I'm still processing it all. For context, I've always been the reliable one in my family. The one who helps out financially when needed, shows up for every birthday and holiday, and generally tries to keep the peace. My parents have always favored my cousin Jake. He's the golden child who can do no wrong despite being unemployed for the past 2 years and constantly asking for money. This Christmas, I drove 6 hours to my parents' house like I do every year. I took time off work, brought expensive gifts for everyone, and was genuinely excited to spend the holidays with family. When I arrived, my mom casually mentioned that Jake would be staying in my old room because he needs the space more than you do. I was confused. Where am I supposed to sleep? The garage has that old couch. You'll be fine for a few nights. I stood there stunned. The garage isn't heated. It's December, and temperatures were dropping below freezing. Mom, I can't sleep in the garage. It's freezing out there. She rolled her eyes. Don't be so dramatic. We put some blankets out there. You should be thankful we let you stay at all. Jake's going through a rough time. I'm your son, I said, my voice barely controlled. And Jake is family too. He needs support right now, not judgment. I looked around for my dad, hoping for some backup, but he just shrugged. Your mother's right. Jake's having a hard time. You're doing well for yourself. You can handle a few uncomfortable nights. That evening, I sat in the garage on a lumpy couch with 3 thin blankets, watching my breath form clouds in the air. Through the window, I could see Jake lounging in my childhood bedroom, playing video games on the TV my parents bought him for his birthday. The same parents who told me they couldn't help with my college loans because money was tight. I barely slept that first night. The cold seeped through every layer, and the concrete floor made every sound echo. Around 2 a.m., I heard Jake and his girlfriend laughing loudly in the house, probably keeping my parents awake, but no one said anything to them about being considerate. The next morning, I tried to shower before everyone else woke up, but Jake was already in the bathroom. He took a 40-minute shower, using up all the hot water. When I finally got in, the water was ice cold. At breakfast, my mom had made Jake's favorite pancakes and bacon. When I sat down, she handed me a bowl of cereal. Sorry, honey, I didn't make enough for everyone, she said, not looking sorry at all. Jake smirked at me from across the table. Thanks for giving up your room, cuz. I really appreciate it. Something in his tone made my blood boil, but I kept quiet. I spent the day watching my family cater to Jake's every need while treating me like an inconvenience. When I offered to help with dinner, my mom told me to just stay out of the way. That evening, extended family came over. My aunt asked where I was sleeping, and when my mom explained the garage situation, my aunt looked horrified. You're making him sleep in the garage? In this weather? He's fine, my mom said dismissively. He's tough. Besides, Jake needs the room more. Jake is a grown man who should have his own place by now, my aunt said. My mom's face went red. We don't criticize family in this house. The irony wasn't lost on me. Later that night, as I lay shivering in the garage again, I overheard my parents talking in the kitchen through the thin walls. I think we're being too hard on him, my dad said. He needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around him, my mom replied. Jake is struggling, and family helps family. If he can't understand that, maybe he's not the son I thought he was. But making him sleep in the garage, it's building character. He's gotten too comfortable thinking he's better than us just because he has a good job. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about Jake needing space. This was about putting me in my place, showing me that no matter how successful I became or how much I helped them, I was still beneath their precious Jake in the family hierarchy. I made my decision that night. The next morning, Christmas Eve, I quietly packed my things while everyone was still asleep. I left the gifts I'd brought under the tree. I'd spent over $800 on presents for people who couldn't even give me a warm place to sleep. I wrote a simple note, gone home. Thanks for the hospitality. I drove the 6 hours back to my apartment, stopping only for gas and coffee. My phone started ringing around noon, but I didn't answer. By evening, I had 12 missed calls and dozens of text messages. The messages started apologetic. Where are you? We're worried. But quickly turned accusatory. You're ruining Christmas for everyone. How could you just leave like that? Jake feels terrible. I turned off my phone and spent Christmas Eve alone, ordering Chinese takeout and watching movies. It was the most peaceful Christmas Eve I'd had in years. Update 1. I turned my phone back on after Christmas, and the messages had multiplied. My mom had sent a novel-length text about how disappointed she was in me, how I was being selfish and immature, and how I owed Jake an apology for making him feel unwelcome. My dad called and left a voicemail saying I was breaking your mother's heart and needed to think about what family means. But the message that really got to me was from Jake himself. Dude, I had no idea they were making you sleep in the garage. That's messed up. But you didn't have to leave and ruin everyone's Christmas. My girlfriend thinks your family is crazy now. So he knew. He knew exactly what was happening and said nothing. I decided to respond, but not in the way they expected. I sent a group text to my parents, Jake, and my aunt, who had defended me. I've had time to think about what family means. Family doesn't make you sleep in a freezing garage while giving your room to someone who doesn't even live there. Family doesn't serve you cereal while making pancakes for everyone else. Family doesn't dismiss your comfort and well-being to coddle a grown man who refuses to take responsibility for his life. I'm taking a break from this family dynamic. Don't contact me until you're ready to treat me with basic respect. The response was immediate and explosive. Update 2. My mom called me screaming. Literally screaming. She called me ungrateful, selfish, and said I was destroying the family over a little discomfort. She said Jake was like a son to them, and I was jealous of the attention he got. We've given you everything, she yelled. You gave me a garage to sleep in, I replied calmly. That was temporary. You're being dramatic. Would you make Jake sleep in the garage? Silence. That's what I thought, I said and hung up. My dad tried the guilt trip approach, sending long texts about family loyalty and how my mom cried for hours after our conversation. He said they'd made a mistake, but I was overreacting and needed to be the bigger person. Jake sent me angry messages calling me a spoiled brat and saying I was jealous of his relationship with my parents. He said I was lucky they let me come at all and that I should grow up and get over it. That last message was a mistake on his part because it revealed exactly how he really felt about me and my place in the family. But the message that surprised me came from my aunt. She said she'd had a long conversation with my parents and told them they were completely out of line. She said she was proud of me for standing up for myself and that she'd been watching this favoritism for years. Your cousin has been enabled his entire life, she wrote. Someone needed to call this family out on their behavior. I'm sorry it had to be you, and I'm sorry it cost you your Christmas. Update 3. It's been 3 weeks since Christmas, and the messages haven't stopped. In fact, they've gotten more desperate and manipulative. My mom has sent everything from tearful voice messages about how much she misses me, to angry texts about how I'm tearing the family apart, to guilt trips about how my dad's blood pressure is up because of the stress I'm causing. Jake's messages have gotten nastier. He's called me every name in the book and said I'm pathetic for running away instead of handling it like a man. He's also apparently told everyone in our extended family his version of events, where I threw a tantrum because I didn't get special treatment. But here's where it gets interesting. My aunt started asking around the family about other incidents, and apparently, this pattern of favoritism isn't new. My cousin Sarah told me that last year at Thanksgiving, my parents made her kids eat at a card table in the basement so Jake and his girlfriend could sit at the main table. My uncle mentioned that my parents borrowed $3,000 from him to help Jake with rent, but never paid it back. The more people talked, the more stories came out. Jake has been the golden child for years, and my parents have been enabling his irresponsible behavior while expecting everyone else to just deal with it. Yesterday, I got a call from my mom's sister, who lives across the country. She said my mom had called her crying, asking her to talk sense into me. But when my aunt heard the full story, she was appalled. I told your mother that if she treated one of my children like that, I'd never speak to her again, she said. Making you sleep in a garage? What were they thinking? The family is starting to take sides, and it's not going the way my parents expected. Update 4. Last week, something happened that changed everything. Jake got arrested for DUI. Not his first one, apparently. My parents had to bail him out and hire a lawyer, which cost them thousands of dollars they don't have. My dad called me, not to apologize, but to ask if I could help out with the legal fees because family sticks together. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. You want me to pay for Jake's lawyer after you made me sleep in a garage? That's different, my dad said. This is serious. So was my hypothermia risk, but that didn't seem to concern you. He hung up on me. But here's the kicker. Jake's girlfriend broke up with him after the arrest. Apparently, she'd been getting tired of his lack of ambition and the DUI was the last straw. She moved out of my parents' house, where she'd been staying rent-free, and took half of Jake's stuff with her. Now Jake is depressed, unemployed, has a DUI to deal with, and is completely dependent on my parents. And they're starting to realize that maybe their golden child isn't so golden after all. My mom sent me a text yesterday. Jake is really struggling right now. He could use some support from family. I replied, I'm sure the garage is available if he needs a place to stay. She didn't respond. Update 5. It's been 2 months since Christmas, and the dynamic has completely shifted. My parents' financial situation has gotten worse because of Jake's legal fees. They had to take out a loan against their house to pay for his lawyer. My dad's been working overtime, and my mom picked up a part-time job. Meanwhile, Jake has been spiraling. Without his girlfriend and facing real consequences for his actions, he's been taking his anger out on my parents. My aunt told me he's been verbally abusive to my mom and has put holes in the walls when he gets angry. Last week, my parents finally asked him to leave. Not because of how he treated me, but because he screamed at my mom and called her names when she asked him to help with chores. The irony is incredible. My dad called me yesterday. His voice was different, tired, defeated. "Son, I think we need to talk." "About what?" "About Christmas. About how we treated you. Your mother and I, we've had time to think. And we were wrong. We were so focused on helping Jake that we forgot you're our son too. We took you for granted because you're successful and independent, and we thought you could handle anything. But that doesn't excuse making you sleep in the garage." It was the first real apology I'd gotten. "What changed your mind?" I asked, seeing how Jake treated your mother when things got tough. Realizing that we enabled him to become someone who thinks the world owes him everything. And understanding that we almost lost our son because we were too blind to see what we were doing. My mom got on the phone, crying. "I'm so sorry, honey. I was so worried about Jake that I forgot to take care of you. You're my son, and I failed you." For the first time in months, she sounded like my mom again. Final update asterisk. I agreed to meet my parents for lunch last week. It was awkward at first, but they seemed genuinely remorseful. My mom looked like she'd aged years in the past 2 months. They told me everything that had happened with Jake, the verbal abuse, the property damage, the complete lack of gratitude despite everything they'd done for him. They said they finally understood what everyone had been trying to tell them for years. "We created a monster," my dad said, "and we almost lost our real son in the process." My mom reached across the table and took my hand. "Can you forgive us?" "I'm not ready to forgive completely yet, but I'm willing to rebuild our relationship. With conditions. First, Jake is not welcome at family gatherings until he gets his life together and makes amends for his behavior. Second, my parents need to acknowledge publicly to the family that they were wrong about Christmas. Third, they need to pay back the money they borrowed from my uncle for Jake's expenses. They agreed to all of it. As for Jake, he's living in a studio apartment across town, working at a gas station, and dealing with his legal issues alone. He sent me one last message calling me a vindictive asshole for turning the family against him. I didn't respond. Some people never learn. My relationship with my parents is slowly healing. It'll take time to rebuild the trust, but at least now they see me as their son, not just the reliable one who'll put up with anything. And I'll never sleep in another garage. The best part? This Christmas, my parents are coming to my place. I've got a guest room with a real bed, central heating, and all the hot water they could want. Jake wasn't invited. Sometimes standing up for yourself means losing people who never really valued you anyway. But it also means the people who matter finally start treating you like you matter too. I learned that family isn't about blood, it's about respect, love, and treating each other with basic human dignity. And if someone can't give you that, they don't deserve a place at your table, garage, or otherwise.